Hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S here, finally back with another video. Hope everyone's well wherever you are. It's quite good early. It's quite good that earlier on I was speaking to someone on Facebook, and they said I asked them if they could check out my videos, and they or one of my videos, and they said they like it. So that was quite good to hear that someone out there enjoys my video. So I'm glad he liked that video. Even though I didn't do as much research as I would like to do or whatever, but yeah, he thought my views were quite interesting. So I think that's quite nice of him, unless he's just being nice. But anyway, this video is about one of my dreams for. I know I've discussed it a little bit before, but one of my dreams for helping Italian teams and Celtic. I'd love to fundraise for Italian teams and Celtic to do as well as possible, and hopefully that would help them on the pitch. And I'd love to see Italian club teams and Celtic do as well as possible. Like Italian club teams in Europe and Celtic in domestic competitions in Scotland, like in the league and in the Scottish Cups and things like that, especially. I doubt very much that Celtic would go that far in Europe, but it would be great if they could go quite far or whatnot. But yeah, I've been thinking about making a video about my dreams, as I say, for Italian teams and Celtic to get as much funding as possible, and some of my naive ideas perhaps about like if I Google or type in YouTube itself videos or searches for Italian teams and Celtic, how much would that help the brand value? So I'd love to see, as I say, Italian teams and Celtic do well as possible financially. And I know some people probably don't like this in football, but of course, money nowadays in football is quite an important component, if you like, of how well. I know some people, in a way, it mirrors sort of other areas of life. Obviously, money is how well teams will do, which, of course, some football, or for Americans, soccer fans out there, is probably one of the more negative things, as many people would see, like that you can just have money and it can transform a team that hasn't done that well to actually do really well because they've got some money invested. So, but on the other hand, I was thinking like Man United in England, they obviously always were doing so well, and their rivals, one of their main, probably the second main rival, Man City, were not winning anything at all, and then suddenly they got investors for Qatar, who I would love to invest in Italian football, people like that, to invest in them, and they've spent like over $1 billion over a certain amount of time, and it's made things a bit more interesting in a way, because Man City have come from sort of not winning that much to or not winning anything for a long time to actually winning stuff. So I think it's probably not very fair on the teams that don't have much money, but I think it's as I say, from a team that was like an underdog team, if you like, to, as we would say here in the UK, I don't know if other countries use that term, but I think an underdog is, how can I explain it? Someone who wouldn't know what an underdog is. An individual or team that's not expected to do well, who has to work really hard to get where they want to get. So they are, I think that's the best way to explain it. But yeah, they were a team that were the underdog team, and now they've got lots of money. So I think that's, as I say, quite interesting, because Man United were winning so much, and now Man City have started winning that. And I don't think anyone could, except for obviously Man United fans or their rival fans, could really begrudge their success in getting these owners. But as I say, as a fan of Italian football and Celtic, I would love to see wealthy owners, excuse me, and as I mentioned before, I'm a big fan of Italian football because I think I look Italian, and I supported them when I was young, and that was like, I was a bit naive when I was young, probably still am, but that was like a good enough reason for me at the time to support Italian football, and ever since I've sort of continued to support them for nostalgic purposes or whatever. So I've sort of stuck by them. But I'd love to see Mediterranean teams do well generally, but especially Italian teams. It's a bit of a dilemma with Spain, because I think only the Spanish League and the English League, EPL, English Premier League, have done better than Italian teams in Europe. And so because Spain are a Mediterranean team, I part of me wants to see them do well, or the clubs do well, but at the same time they're kind of competition to Italian teams, so it's a bit of a dilemma of whether I want to see them do well or not. But they do play some very entertaining football as well, and they're Mediterranean, so as I say, it's a bit of a dilemma for me. But so part of me wants to see Spanish teams do well, and part of me doesn't want to see them do as well. So I'm sort of conflicted on that. It's a bit of a dilemma, as I say. As I say, I wonder if by helping them to by googling them and checking that and like typing in the search bar in YouTube for Serie A or Italian teams and Celtic helps to raise their brand value. But and maybe making videos like this more times, Italian football teams or Celtic are mentioned, the more they can increase their brand value, hopefully. So like if we help them to trend and go viral and things like that. Maybe I'm being naive again, but yeah, so I support Celtic as anti-imperialist, so I think our main rivals are quite racist, especially against Irish people and against Catholics, which I know is not really racist, but it's kind of prejudiced. And I suppose because there's a lot of Catholicism in Ireland, that's one of the reasons why they hate Ireland, I think. But yeah, so I think generally, I'm not saying all Rangers fans are like that, but I think on the whole, they can be like that a lot. So I think it would be interesting to see countries that have been invaded by the UK, like India and China, or countries that don't always get on well with the UK investing in Celtic. But I suppose the dilemma would be if they had to pay taxes, that would go towards the UK's economy anyway, if you know what I mean. So I wonder if there's a way that Celtic could legally, and the main word being legal, pay the lowest amount of taxes possible. So I'd love to see Celtic pay the lowest amount of taxes possible, and also get as much funding from like the lottery or the government. Maybe like the amount of money it could be like sort of counterbalance. So they get money from the government, which sort of negates a lot of the taxes they pay, so they pay the least amount of tax possible. But again, I think it'd be great to see lottery funding for Celtic and things like that, because of the good work they do for charity, and maybe even to reparate some of the Irish community, because Celtic represents the Irish diaspora. And I think with Italian football again, I think it'd be great to see the government providing tax and other such financial incentives towards investors like Russian and Chinese and Indian and other such investors, even American investors. So it makes it commercially viable to invest in Italian football, which hopefully will help Italian teams to do better in Europe and internationally, and like build academies as well, which will hopefully benefit both the local teams on the league teams and the national team as well, and for the future by developing good young players as well. And lost my train of thought. But yeah, so I think one of the problems in Italy is that the stadiums are not owned by the club teams like Juventus or AC Milan or Juventus. Very few Italian teams apparently own their own stadiums. So according to some YouTube videos or even some things I've read on Google, I don't like to read much, but from what I have read, so I think it would be cool if politicians and councils, especially local councils, like say in Turin where Juventus is based, maybe they could give some funding to Juventus, and local politicians as well could give some funding to Juventus and possibly their rivals as well, to just to help them to be a bit more fair. But because Juventus do better in Europe and represent Italy in European competitions, I think maybe they should be given quite a lot of funding as well, and AC Milan and Inter Milan and other Italian teams that do well in Europe and represent Italy in Europe. So I hope an Italian team can do well in Europe sooner or later. I think it would be interesting to see a lot of investment and bring in some of these great players like Messi and Ronaldo, as I've talked before about, and also, as I say, with Celtic, to see as many great players. I suppose they wouldn't need to have that as many great players to compete in the Scottish League, because it's not necessarily the hardest league to compete in. So it would be interesting if they had that investment money, how well they could do in Scotland. I think it would be anyway. But obviously I'm a bit biased as a Celtic fan. But yeah, so as ever, I'd love to hear what you think about these ideas. Sorry, as if you're a football fan, especially an Italian football fan or a Celtic fan or any football fan or anyone who wants to comment as ever. And sorry if I was waffling, and I hope this video made at least some sense. And I am out. Peace and love.